you. Yeah, feel like I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the rafters. I had to son these boys, can't leave them bastards. A lot of dudes, just some undercover actress. I don't fall for it, I'm privy to all your tactics. Yeah, so try again, this time take a vitamin. Yeah, invite them in, welcome to the Lion's Den. And I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a bull. You see me raising the stock up, yeah. So baby, you gon' need some patience. I already won, now I'm just making a statement, Damn, baby, why your mans keep hating? You asking about the cake, you here for the celebrations? And I ain't fishing, I ain't really into baiting. I know they all wish I take away they maiden, but sorry I'm taking me and my lady mating. She look me in the eyes and tell me how much she loving all my confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time, saying I can't get better, I promise they all lying on my confidence. Yeah, that's right.
What's up, guys? It's Thanksgiving Day. We picked up the 25 Outlander XMR 1000. Just got it from Big Rock Power Sports. If you guys don't know Big Rock, they're our biggest sponsor. They help us out with a lot of rides. Get all our parts from them. Anything you need, Big Rock Power Sports has it when it comes to this kind of stuff that we do. They do have 4 locations: New Bern, Rocky Mount, Elizabeth City, and Greenville in North Carolina. But let's get started on this bike right here. So Chris went down there yesterday, got himself his brand new 25 Outlander XMR 1000. This is CAN AM's first over 100 horsepower four-wheeler they've ever built. From the factory, this bike is 101 horsepower, 69 foot-pounds of torque out of that 999cc Rotax engine. So we're going to get right into it, show you guys all the ins and outs, what's good about it, what they changed, what's different from the Gen 2s. So we might as well jump right in the front. You guys already see it. This giant front bumper where they mount the exterior winch, which is up high out of the mud. It still has the factory location down here where the factory winch mounts on the normal Gen 3s like you guys seen on our 700 XMR video. They just literally mounted it up top, 4 mounting points right here in the front, and they moved it up here. It's a CAN AM HD 3500. I think it's basically a Warn. It looks just like the Warns.
Yeah, it's still a Warn.
Yeah, they threw it up there. It's super cool. I like it. Some people were talking on it, not too happy about it. After seeing it in person, I really like the way it looks. So from the front of the bike, right on the very front, you're sticking 9 inches out. This thing sticks out 9 inches from the front of the four-wheeler. Some people didn't like it. I like it after seeing it in person. I was hit or miss about it before, but I think it's pretty cool. Next, we'll jump right over into the tires. So CAN AM is branding their own tires now, the XPS. What are these? These are the Swamp King XLs from CAN AM, and these are a 30 by 9 on a 14 on the front and a 30 by 10 by 14 on the rear. So basically it's a 9-inch wheel up here and a 10-inch wheel in the back. So you just got a little fatter tires in the rear.
Question everybody wants to know.
What's the wheel and tire weigh? £57 rear tires.
57 pounds.
All right, so we had 57 pounds for the rear. Let's see what the fronts weigh. Front tires coming in at 51 pounds.
51 pounds.
So there's your tire weight. That's what you're spending from the factory. Well, we got it off. There's your, pretty much you can see the whole new arched A-arms, everything right in there.
A much beefier tie rod design than the 700, I will say that. So you got beefier tie rods. The A-arms are different. I'm telling you, I really think that there is a chance that this will clear a 32. We will find out shortly. Just the way that it's been redesigned. Everything looks like it's been slid forward.
Yeah, and they put some engineering right in here, boxed in the front A-arm from the shock mount. Yep. Made it a lot stronger.
It does have the rubber engine mounts, kind of like the 700 did. I think that these are a little bit beefier, but time will tell. We already know of the snowmobile fix if that's something we got to end up doing.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So there's that. There's a good shot of the differential, shocks, whole outside. Let's get this tire back on. Try not to keep this video too long so you guys will actually watch it.
So let's go into what these bad boys measure true to. So On the fronts, the 9 wides, you're right at just under 29 inches for these front tires. And I'm sure the rears are almost the exact same, just a little bit wider. And your rears measure exactly true to 29 inches. They say they're a 30, but we all know, we've all bought tires. They're never exactly perfect. There's very few brands out there that do that. So right off the front, we'll jump right into the radiator. So CAN AM got super smart, like they have been over the years, of how easy it is to keep these mud machines radiators clean. 2 little pop clips right here on the front. You just twist them. This thing pops off. It's got your mesh screen protecting the junk getting down in there. And you come over here, you pop these 2 little clips to the back of the bike, pull it forward, and she opens right up. And there's your radiator right in the front. Easy way to clean it. And then if this is in your way or if you need to replace this, it's not that big of a deal. Quick little disconnects, slide them over, slide them back. This whole thing pops off. It's supposed to. There it goes. Boom. And look at all that room to clean her out. All right, so while we're in the front, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how CAN AM did these new signature lights. So like you guys know, on the Defenders, you have the signature lights on the front on the Limiteds. They added their own signature lights here with a little break in the signature lights. Pretty cool. Same normal, the new CAN AM style high and low beams, all on the switch up here. Super cool. Signature lights really give it some accent.
Another cool feature that you might not know about is in the handlebar. If you hold the handle push down, it turns the lights all the way off if you want to have your lights off. And then also you can use that to flash people if you need to. So that's pretty neat.
And then now we're just waiting for the kit to keep the signature lights on with the headlights off. We know one's coming. All right. Well, since we're talking about headlights already and switches, go ahead and come around here. We'll show you guys the new design for CAN AM's winch on the front. So right over here on the handlebars, you have your in and out on your switch. Super convenient. And then CAN AM came out with the new mud strap. I think that's, what's their actual term they're calling it? Do you know, Chris?
I'm not sure.
It's very similar to the ones they put on the mountain sleds for their snowmobile line, as well as the handlebars with the J-channel hooks on the actual bars themselves.
Yeah, it's
super
like
cool.
It's like a comprised rubber. I think there might be some metal in there or something, but it's very, very rigid, and you can really, really get a hold of the machine between that and the new curved handlebars.
No more soft mud straps. You know, they get full of mud and they get all gross. This thing will clean up real nice. And also, CAN AM came out with the bars already risen from the factory. That's super cool too. That's something I had to add to the Renegade out there. I added a 2-inch riser just to get the handlebars up out of the way. And you can really lean on this sucker. Like, there's some places to hold on to. That J-channel handlebars helps a lot. And I'm talking J-channel because it's shaped like a J, if you guys were wondering. All right, so moving on to this side of the handlebars, you guys will see, obviously, you have your throttle here. Same electronic throttle they've had since 2020. And then you move over here to the ITC mode. You can switch it from work mode, sport mode, normal. All that's the same if you guys have stepped into the newer CAN AMs, 2021s and up. The 21 was the first year for the 4-lock. This one also has the 4-lock. So you hit the switch, you're in 4-wheel drive, you hold it, locks your front diff. So all 4 tires are locked. They're all spinning together. Hit it again, 4-lock's off, you're in 4-wheel drive, turn it off, 2-wheel drive. And then your smart braking, the IEB mode. So it's 3 different modes. You can pick how much you want it to decelerate when you let off that gas. So you can literally just move it right here with this button. It'll set it up, it'll slow you down, however you want it set up. I don't have it on my bike. I don't know too much about it, but it's pretty sweet.
It's legit. It saves a lot on your brakes, especially. You can use it to go down hills really well. I'm actually a big fan of it. I'm glad that they put some time into restoration into it.
All right, let's jump into showing you guys where the intake is. So we already took the top off right here. So to get to your actual like air filter, show you where the intake's poking through right here. So you open up the front, get these little straps out of the way.
I will say this intake's sitting above handlebar height, so like your new level of danger is if your handlebars are under, that's when you got to start worrying about it. It's very similar to the Renegades.
Yeah, while we're talking about that, let's talk about, for the intake wise, how high off the ground is. There's a tape measure. So from the ground to the snorkel, put your hand up there.
I would say
you're looking at 50 inches from the ground of snorkeled. So your snorkel's pretty high.
It's so on a 6 foot man, that's about, I would say, nipple height, chest height.
51 inches.
Yeah.
So yeah, snorkel's super tall. We'll show you here in a sec the CVT, but let's go ahead and show you where the air filter is. It's a super cool new design they came out with. So you pop the clips like on the 700s.
And you guys that haven't seen the 700s, there's one here, one there, and then one of these on each side.
And this whole thing pops up. You undo the 3 connectors for the screen. One is for your buttons for your trip and menu, and then your one go into your screen itself, and then the 2 power for your 12 volt power on the side. And then just let those bad boys hang down. You don't have to take it off. It's just we wanted to show you guys how it's done. You can let that, there's enough wire to hang it out of the way to get to your air filter. And they literally just pop these 2 clips, this one right here and this one in the front, open them up, and this whole thing slides out. That's how you expose your air filter. And this new design, it's a 90, so the filter's laying straight down, 90 degree up into your intake throttle body. Pull it out, pull it up, and there's your new filter design. And that's your new filter that you're going to be changing out.
So it's got a 90 degree. That's a lot different from the 700. So I actually really like that. And like I said before, the cool thing is now you can clean out this air box completely. There was, back in the old day, you remember your old Gen 2s that used to come and do like a U-turn. It's super hard to clean the opposite side over here. So not only has the intakes been raised a dramatic amount, you're now talking about an air box that you can always keep clean. And then, like literally, if you ingest water, that means you've taken in a half gallon of water.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of water you can fit in here. And instead of having your normal 2 drain ports like you guys have seen on the 700s, you have 1 drain port.
Yeah, there's
no more clean and dirty side.
Yep.
And if you come over here, I'll show you right where that port is. So right here, coming out, right behind this driver's side shock, you'll see a little connector with a clip on it. That's where you drain your intake, if you do ingest water in there.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's your air box. All right, so while we're done talking about the intake, also you want to note on this Gen 3 Outlander, they put this little block up here for all your vent lines to go to. You got your diffs, you got your gearbox, you got your fuel vent, and you got your crankcase vent. So that's super smart. They put everything right up here, easy to get to. And when we go to pull this off, I'll show you. It's just a little void up here where they all vent right up into. Keeps the water from splashing in and hitting anything, getting down any vent lines.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about dirty check valves and vent lines anymore because of how it's built in. Like if you're getting stuff in here, you've got bigger problems.
And then, right since we're right in this general area, another thing on the Gen 3s, so you don't have the big giant storage box anymore. You have a spot for your phone, and it comes with a USB-C straight from the factory. So that's super cool. We'll pull this thing apart and show you all that. We're going to get the seats off and get the sides off, show you guys the motor. You guys have already seen on the Gen 3 700s how easy it is to get to the sides of the motors, get to where you fill your oil, change your gearbox oil, all that stuff, change your P gears. The super cool thing about the new Gen 3s is, look how sleek it is over here. It keeps all the mud off your motor. Everybody thinks it'd be a pain in the butt to get in there, but it's not. It's super quick. You pop your seat up, take this little tab and pick up. Take this that wraps around this frame bar, pull out, pick up, and your whole motor's exposed. So once you get that side panel off, you can see right here your oil filter is covered by this little foot for the footwell. You pop out a body clip here, and you pop out a body clip on the back, and 130 tip right here, and this whole thing just slides out. Ease of access to change your oil, get to that water pump if you need to. All kinds of room down there.
Yeah, it's a ton of room. Does the same thing on the other side for the belt box.
As well as this inner fender, we pulled that off as well. It's just 4 of those little automotive body clips. And it exposes that whole side of the motor. And we're thinking that's pretty much going to be the easiest way to get to the front spark plug while we're talking about it.
Yeah, we've looked at a couple things. So if you want to, it's kind of hard to see, sorry about this, but there's some connectors up in here that you can get to. So the spark plug's sitting right here on the top of the cylinder head. There is room to get your hands in here if you need to get it out. This whole thing, we're thinking that this can come out pretty easy as well. This is just a plastic thing for your belt box. And then if you come up here, you can remove this panel right here. We're going to take this off to show you guys what's under here. But you can also get your hand down through that plastic void right there to be able to get right to the spark plug. Because it's not the same as the old days where you had to wiggle the rubber grommets that were sitting over the ignition plugs. Now they're coil and plug all in one.
Yeah, we can show you right there.
Let me get to this where you guys can see. Sorry, it's getting dark on us here.
Just like on the 700s, it's a single coil pack on top of the plug itself with a 30 tip holding it down. So you pull that off with the connector, your whole pack comes out.
So it's really not as bad as the Gen 2s. Hopefully we don't have to do it, but you know as well as I do, somebody's gonna end up doing it.
Yeah.
Aaron.
All right. So the cover that covers your CVT exhaust is also where your CVT intake is right here. Little screen, if you get any mud or crap down in there, this thing pops right off. But to get to your CVT exhaust and anything that's underneath there, and I'll show you the void for these vent lines, it's just these 430 tips right on top. Pop all 4 of these out. Oops. And then this whole thing shows you your exhaust and your intake and your CVT intake. Yeah, it's huge. So there's your snorkel breather hole, just like on all other Can Am snorkels. There's a hole for it to have outside air get sucked in.
Yeah, so if you get up to a certain point where you're this deep underwater, at least it can blow air out.
Yep.
And get air in if it needs to at the highest point.
There's all your vent lines poking through right there, all 5 of them. And like I was telling you, they just sit inside this little void in this plastic cover for all your intake and exhausts.
This is really good for the system. And if they bleed over, they'll drain out of that drain hole before they drain into another one. That was one of the things we noticed with the 700 is the way they all filled up with that cap. Say you're these things are prone to having to weep from the water pump. And it would weep into the other ones if it wasn't designed like this. They've changed it to a much better style now. So now all your vent lines are nice and safe from one another. So this is cool. And they're way up high now also, which is really good.
And then right underneath here is your degas bottle as well as your radiator to add coolant to it. But this one you can get to, you can add coolant to it. You cannot get to your degas bottle with this on.
Okay. 4 little screws though, and I mean you can tell we're already super deep into this machine. We'll pop off this little cover right here.
All right, now we're going to show you how easy it is to get down to where you need to pull. If you need to pull the air box, all that's covering it is this little plastic piece with your storage in it. So you're going to pop off these 2 10mm bolts right here on the front. There's one. And then your second one is right here. Take both those bolts out. And then you're going to come in here and pull off that 120 tip. So you get your 3 bolts out, the 20 tip and the 2 10 mils on the front. This thing picks up, comes forward, and then there's your wire. It's just like the 20 volt on the front for your the cigarette lighter 20 volt. Same thing to a USB-C. You just pop those 2 connectors off to get this out of your way. Boom. And now that we got it busted down with all these plastics off, we'll talk about if you need to pull your air box, 30 tips over here, 30 tips over here, clamp on the throttle body, and then there's 4 10mm bolts around it. We're not doing that today. We're not going to mess with the intake. But while we're up here, we'll talk about the wire management that Can Am did. You guys know with the Gen 2, especially like the Renegades and stuff like that, the connectors for your wire management up here is just a bird's nest. But this one, they got really smart. They put the fuse box right up here, pop it right off. It's your Defender style fuse box, the square ones. You know the older Gen 2s are the big rectangle ones. And then you have all this wire management right here. They purposely built these little brackets to mount these connectors onto. Keep it all nice and clean, keep them up out of the way, keep them from rubbing on each other. Super cool and sleek design. And then also, to get in here, you can also get to your steering bushing. It's all right here. You pull that one thing off. You didn't even need to take the storage box off. You can get to that bushing right there. It's just these 2, I'm guessing, 15mm bolts, and you can change it. Yep,
no more annoying squeaky bushings. That's one cool thing.
Yeah, while we're talking about squeaky bushings, she don't squeak. Can Am got smart and went to, are they silicone based, I believe?
I think they're silicone based bushings, yeah.
So all your ARMs have Can Am's new bushings in them.
No more obnoxious squeaking and whenever your arms flex, which is cool. The same thing with these ones. That's a thing of the past. Remember when you were anything like us, you'd start moving the wheel after, or our steering wheel after a little bit of time, they would just start
She
squeaking.
squeaks.
Now you can oil this up really easy and not have to worry about it. I used to do it on the 700 all the time. It's a game changer for sure.
Okay, now moving back this way. Those of you that have Gen 2s know fuel pumps are a pain in the butt. Look at how easy they made this. Grab you a Torx 30 tip. Come right in here. 2 30 tips. Pull your plate off. There's your fuel pump.
Doesn't get any easier than that.
And Chris and I were talking about this earlier. It looks like the exact same fuel pump on the 700. I'm sure they have it tuned for the fuel pressure this motor needs, but it looks like the automotive style fuel pumps that sit right in the tanks of your normal car. So we could even probably cross-reference this part number and see if they even have it at like AutoZone. We'll let you guys know though. But yeah, it's super cool and sleek design. They were really smart about the engineering that went into this machine. Right underneath here, that's your starter solenoid. Your main fuse coming in. This is your tune port. So the buds connector is right here underneath this plate. And then you can jump it. So your battery's in a box back there under the passenger right rear tire. So obviously it'd be a pain in the butt to get to if you need to jump it. So what CAN AM did, they have this little plate on it. Put her all in there, she's stowed away. Here's your ground, pick that up, and there's your positive if you need to throw jumper cables on it.
It works great for adding any accessories too.
Yeah,
We've
super
put a lot
cool.
on.
Yeah, so basically a bus bar design like they have in the Defenders. You can add all whatever you want right off this negative post, and then underneath it is the positive post like I already showed you guys.
Yep. And then you got your winch line. Your winches lines are all in the channeling groove, which is really cool. I mean, the way the design of this thing is unmatched. Is how clean it is. I mean, look how all these wires are ran through here. No more chafing. No more crazy problems where everything was getting grounded out on the frame. Those are problems of the past.
There is definitely a lot of engineering in this piece of machinery. So here we are on the motor side. As you guys can already see, it's again automotive style fuel lines. Heat shrink to fit, everything's matched perfectly how it should be, goes where it should be. And then right here is your P gear. This is where you can change out your gears if you want to put a gear reduction in it. You guys can see videos out there. I think we still have our video of doing the gears on our 700. But literally you just pull the bolts off, slide that cover off, and there's 2 gears in there, and you can change your gear ratio by just changing out gears instead of having to buy clutches and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and they're after the CVT too, so that's putting a gear reduction to almost everything in the machine, which is really, really nice. It does have that Defender transmission, right? We know how much we love that. It's over beefed up. This thing is basically a lot of side-by-side parts are into it.
Yeah, and talking about transmissions, everybody knows if you have a Gen 1 or a Gen 2, you got to do the CAN AM Rock. This one you don't. Look at the ease. It's like butter. No more CAN AM Rock to get it going gear.
Nope, not at all. Let's see. It's pretty much all your maintenance is going to remain the same for any of you guys that have had CAN AMs, right? We've already talked about your oil filter cover here, right? It's going to use the same CAN AM tried and true oil filter you've always been using. Your oil dipsticks here. Your flush and fill for your transmission is running right out of here. So it is just amazing how easy all of this is to get to be able to just do your standard maintenance. You got your brake reservoirs here. It does got we talked about it, the 4 brakes on the back. These only go to the rear, which is kind of nice. The forward lever on the handlebars goes to all 4. But yeah, I mean we're cooking with butter now. This thing's a bad machine.
Yeah, and speaking of all 4, CAN AM went back to a caliper on all 4 corners. So you have calipers on both front tires, calipers on both rear tires. But this time you only have one front brake. There's only one brake lever on the handlebars, and then you have one that controls the rear. So this one will control all 4 and does your park brake up here as well. And then you have your rear brake to lock up the rear end. All right, like we told you before, the battery, nice little logo to let you know where it is. It's just these 2 little automotive body clips. Pop them off, your cover comes right off. Boom.
There you go, nice brand new battery. You'll get some dirt and mud in there, just pop it off when you clean it. It's actually a good spot for it. We've been running the 700 like this for the last year.
Yep, keep your terminals greased up and you shouldn't have any problems.
Nope, I put dielectric. After you know you have good connections, just go ahead and put a nice little gob of dielectric over them. You'll have no problems.
All right, moving on to the CVT side. Same thing, same easy access. Pop the clip up, pop this up, you pop it out and pull up, and it exposes your belt box. So, super cool thing CAN AM did, they put some engineering into it, is heat distribution. You guys know how your legs would get hot from that exhaust. So this thing has a huge, massive, I'll show you here in a sec, but it's a big, probably 2-inch exhaust, I'd say, coming from your headers all the way out. But they got smart with all the heat covering all that, and then look right down here, right next to your gas tank. That whole thing is covered in a heat shield now. All up underneath these front plastics is heat shielded. So you shouldn't be getting hot anymore. And then come around here, you can see right down here, look at that massive pipe next to my hand. That sucker's huge.
That is literally like 2.5 inches. I think.
With your OBD2 sensor right there, right into the big new style can for these Outlanders.
Which is huge. It's a super, super quiet machine. We'll give you a startup clip while we're doing it, but it kind of reminds me of the new Mav-R exhaust. But, I mean, this thing's super quiet. It's quieter than the 700, which I don't know how they do it with that big V-twin sitting in there, but can't wait to see what all these aftermarket companies come out with. It's got a good look to it. I hope that, hopefully everybody tries to keep that exit.
Yep. Okay, so now into what Can Am did in the clutching. So we're not going to pull it off, and I'm not going to show you guys all that stuff, but you can look it up. Can Am came out with a clutch specifically designed for this, kind of stepped into the snowmobile world and made it work on this machine. It's a P-drive primary with a new design secondary. I don't know the actual technical terms for it, but you can look them up. It's pretty cool what they did to bring the engineering on this bike. I just got done riding it. We put 5 miles on it. I rode it in high normal. I rode it in high sport, also low normal and low sport. And high normal, it stood straight up, did a wheelie right off rip. I put it in low, same thing, crazy power. And it's not even really a low gear. Can Am calls it their extra low. So you have your high and then your extra low. I don't know what that means exactly, but we could probably find the ratios. But it's impressive, the power that this motor is putting down to these wheels. And then I put it in sport mode and then romped on it. And from a standstill, I felt like it was going to do a backflip. As soon as it stood up, I let off of it because I didn't want to drag these brand new bumpers on the back. So now we have the new rack. They came out specifically for this model. Only XMRs will have this rear rack. So it's super cool. It's got these perforated edges, little like pyramids all around it to put your foot on to do wheelies. Right here, down here as well. Stick your foot right in here, stand her up. Can Am was smart. They gave you the pre-drilled holes for the link system, and you already have 2 link connectors right here on the side. So if you need, say you want to put a gun rack back here, you want to put a cooler back here, they're already there. It's all integrated, ready to go. And they also put these giant grab bars to pick it up anywhere you want. You can grab right here, pick this thing up out of a hole, grab that J-hook on the handlebars, move it around. Your buddies can help you get out of a hole, pick her up. You can hang off of it. So it's all plastic, but there's a giant metal bar that runs through the whole thing and goes right down to the frame. So that's where you're getting your strength. That's why this thing doesn't move. It moves the whole machine.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the rear rack, especially with these grab bars. I rode around with my wife just the other day and just being able to sit on the back and hold on. And when anybody's trying to help you get out, this is going to be awesome. You actually, for once, you have something made and designed to grab onto to get you up and out of the holes.
And then they integrated the rear bumper right in underneath it. Looks super slick. With the new taillight design.
Yeah, you can turn that off on. I think it should still work, even though you have it all apart. There you go. I like them. I dig them, actually.
And if you're tuning in from Canada, got your license plate mount already. We're not allowed to run these down here. Sorry, boys.
Show shocks in the back.
Yep, shows all the way around. So the shows are super sweet. Showa internal floating pistons. They're IFP shocks.
One thing I will say, I've done a bunch of looking on this, and 2 rears, just like the 700, the rear axles are the same part number, so those will be interchangeable, and the 2 fronts are different. So again, buy your 3 axles, and you're covered on all 4 corners of your machine. So, because if you know anybody that rides a lot, you're bound to break some axles. So that's a pretty cool feature that they have there, where they could do that.
So we have the spec sheet for this machine right here from Can Am's website. So suspension-wise, we told you about the Showa internal floating pistons. All 4 corners has those same shocks. The front suspension is arched double A-arms, 7.5 inches of travel, so that means that tire can move up and down 7.5 inches. The rears are arched double A-arms, 10.2 inches of travel, so that means you got a little bit more in the rear. Also, you still have the front sway bar, rear sway bar like you did on the Gen 3 700s. And then we'll go into dimensions and capabilities. Ground clearance, they're calling out 13.2 inches as it sits, so we'll go ahead and check that. So, measuring ground clearance right here to the bottom of the skid plate. Rear skid plate, very bottom, I'm at 14 inches. So, let's go to the front and see if they're close to that 13.2. Alright, front, bottom of the skid plate, I'm at 14 inches.
Dang.
So, she's also hasn't been rode, hasn't been settled. She probably will settle a little bit, get those shocks broken in, but right out of the box. Never been on a trail.
It's saying
5
what it
miles
is.
on it. 14 inches of travel.
Or ground clearance.
Or ground clearance, sorry. All right, that's it. We showed you guys the ins and out of the 25 Outlander 1000 XMR. If you guys have any questions, you want to see anything specific, drop it in the comments. We can get on the machine. We'll show you what you want to know. Let us know what you thought of the video. We don't want to keep it too long. We want to keep it short and sweet. And Chris is going to time me how long it takes me to put this bike together. And it is 5:34. Let's go. 5:40. Break down and start.
These boys can't leave them bastards. A lot of dudes, just some undercover actors. I'm privy to all your tactics. Yeah, so try again. This time take a vitamin. Yeah, invite them in. Welcome to the lion's den. And I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a